On this episode of OFallon Matters, find out about an online system that can do it all. See how neighbors are getting together to combat crime. And check out highlights from the St. Charles County Veterans Museum's innovative memorial dedication. All this and more next on OFallon Matters. Welcome to this episode of OFallon Matters. Our canine program is credited with saving countless work hours for officers and keeping our residents safe. Now we've added a new dog to the team. Let's meet Canine Vegas.
Over the years, the City of OFallon's Police Department has produced award-winning canine teams. And with every passing dog comes a new pup to carry on the tradition. Now, Officer Matt Vegovich is the proud handler of Canine Vegas. Vegas is a German Shepherd Malinois mix from Belarus. This crime-fighting duo will assist patrol officers with calls and searches. With the combination of special training along with extraordinary smell, Vegas can track down suspects or specific drugs hiding from officers. And when Matt went to choose a new dog, he knew right away that Vegas was the right dog for the job.
We drove up to Berrien Springs, Michigan, which is kind of by Lake Michigan, just over the Indiana border. We met up with a breeder and a trainer, and went through 6 or 7 dogs, checked them all out. This dog meshed well, good personality and everything, so picked him out, and then a couple weeks later went back up there and trained for a month and a half with him.
With each passing day, their working relationship continued to grow until Vegas was ready to hit the streets.
I think we meshed together just basically because he's extremely laid back, as you can see. He's rather calm until it's time to work. He's got everything separate, work, play. That's pretty much how I live. It's easy. Just stay calm until you need to go to work.
Even though Vegas and Matt are chasing down criminals and assisting officers, their training continues. It's the goal of OFallon's canine program to train the best dogs in the country.
Search. Keep moving. Good, about. Good boy. Yes, good
Vegas
boy.
has incredible working ability and a desire to work with Matt through play.
Every month we're required to have at least 16 hours of training. Now that doesn't mean I train 16 hours a month. That means that I train
really
on the
books
books 16
bad guy or girl.
hours.
And
Every day is a
officers
new training
need to
day.
get into help.
Every day is obedience, some sort of building, searching, tracking. We do something every day with him.
The training is intense. It's demanding. It is incumbent upon the handler to think about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How do I benefit the dog? How does this benefit training? How do I use this then on the street? It's not a 9-to-5 job, but training is critical to make sure that the dog and the handler are doing exactly what we require of them, and it's intense.
Vegas is loyal, watchful, and protective. He's one of 4 canine dogs within the department. The bond between Matt and Vegas is off to a great start. And the value of adding Vegas to our patrol unit cannot be overstated.
What's it? Search. Oh, is that it? Is that it?
Next on OFallon Matters, we'll dive into the story of 2nd Lieutenant Glenn Harrison, a World War II bomber co-pilot, prisoner of war, and French Legion of Honor recipient. OFallon TV's Brett Figgis has this story.
What does service to your country mean to you? For 21-year-old Glenn Harrison, it meant leaving his Dust Bowl-stricken hometown of Guymon, Oklahoma behind and signing up for the U.S. Army Air Corps. The year was 1941, and America was embroiled in war against the Axis powers. A college student at the time, Glenn could have kept pursuing his education, but he felt the call of duty and joined the Aviation Cadet Program, where he would become a commissioned officer of the U.S. Army Air Force.
And I graduated from aviation cadets in the service at Yuma, Arizona on August the 29th of 1943. I was in the class of 43G I got my wings and I was commissioned an officer.
Now a second lieutenant, Glenn Harrison was transferred to B-25 transition training in Sacramento, California. As a B-25 pilot, Glenn would have been sent to the South Pacific Theater, but fate had other plans. Due to personnel shortages, Glenn and some of his fellow trainees were instead transferred to the Royal Air Force Base in Snetterton, England, to serve in the Western Theater against Nazi Germany and the Luftwaffe. Glenn was officially assigned as a co-pilot to the 339th Squadron, and it wasn't long before he flew his first mission.
Our first mission was a target south of Paris, about 80 miles at Chateau d'Un, and we were hit right over the target by flak, and 2 engines were knocked out, and we fell from about 24,000 feet down to 8,000, getting 2 engines back in operations. And we were out over the English Channel about 100 to 150 miles, I guess. And all of a sudden, the 3rd engine went out. We couldn't fly on 1 engine, so we had to land the ship in the water.
They successfully ditched into the channel, and all 10 members of Glenn's crew survived. They were picked up by British Air Sea Rescue, and just 2 days later, Glenn was back flying missions with a new B-17 bomber and a new crew.
We flew that first mission was on the 23rd of May, and then on the 6th of June was D-Day and we flew a mission that day. And then on the 20th of June we flew another mission, and the target was Magdeburg, Germany. And we got over the target, and the fighter planes and the flak was pretty thick, and I don't know which hit us, but looked out and the flames were all over the wing and the 2 engines were out. And so we all had to bail out at 24,000 feet.
One by one, the crew leapt from the plane, drifting down into enemy territory. Glenn made it safely to the ground, but his ordeal was far from over. As soon as he touched down, he was assaulted by German civilians before being captured by German soldiers. This was the conclusion of Glenn's 17th mission in the Army Air Force, and it would be his last of the war. Along with other recovered prisoners of war, Glenn was sent to Stalag Luft III, a Luftwaffe-run POW camp near the German-Poland border. He would remain there until January 1945, when the camp was evacuated. Glenn and his fellow prisoners were part of the Winter Death March, a 300-mile forced march to Stalag 7A. There, Glenn would remain until he and the other 115,000 prisoners were liberated on April 29, 1945. Now, as we approach the 75th anniversary of the D-Day landings in Normandy during World War II, our community came together to recognize the heroism of Glenn Harrison and the men and women like him who served their country in its time of need. Earlier this year, Glenn was one of 3 St. Louis area World War II veterans to be awarded the French Legion of Honor Award, the highest civilian honor awarded by the government of France. And on April 29, 2019, his name and story were entered into the congressional record by Senator Josh Hawley, as the senator recounted Glenn's history and thanked him for his service and bravery. At our ceremony, a representative from Senator Hawley's office was on hand to present Glenn with a copy of the congressional record.
And so on behalf of Senator Hawley, we are here to commemorate and honor the soldiers that went before us to make it so that we can stand here today free. And so on behalf of Senator Josh Hawley, I'm going to come around and present this to you. Thank you for your service, sir.
Glenn's story was an inspiration for those in attendance, veteran and civilian alike.
They went through so much, back then, and it was just unbelievable, the trials and tribulations that they had to go through.
I don't know if I could have done it, being a prisoner of war for 10 months and in a Nazi concentration camp, that takes a real man or a real woman to do that. And to me, I have all the respect in the world for those folks.
We would not have our freedom if it wasn't for men like this who did heed to the call and went away and fought for our freedom so we can have the discourse we have today and walk in freedom.
After the ceremony, guests stopped to chat with Glenn, who at 99 years of age remembers his service with startling clarity. It's one thing to read about World War II in history books, and it's something entirely different to speak with and learn from someone who lived through those events. We were proud to see so many members of our community come together to honor Glenn Harrison's service, and we're proud to be able to recognize this man's incredible legacy.
I think we need to teach everybody, no matter if it's old, young, whatever it is, we need to keep reminding the folks what the veterans have done for our country.
A sacred Killed in Action wall is now being featured at the St. Charles County Veterans Museum. We have the highlights from the dedication ceremony.
Mattis, Leon H., Maxon, Richard Bruce, Merks, Wilbert Irvin, Mackey, Joseph Allen, Lippert, Clifton Walton, Price, Robert J.
Behind every war ever fought in the United States is a man or woman serving their country faithfully and sometimes making the ultimate sacrifice on our behalf. Each of them has a story, and today those stories are preserved in the St. Charles County Veterans Museum. This museum was the brainchild of World War II veteran Ralph Barali, who wanted to ensure our veterans will never be forgotten. Inside the museum, you'll find hundreds of artifacts from veterans representing all 5 branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. Since our country was founded, well over 1 million Americans died in the nation's wars. To honor those brave men and women, the St. Charles County Veterans Museum dedicated a Killed in Action wall. The wall honors 109 soldiers from St. Charles County who made the ultimate sacrifice from World War I to present day. In August, elected officials from all over the metro area gathered to honor those fallen soldiers.
The peace and protection that we enjoy today were bought and paid for with the blood and the sacrifice of generations in uniform who have gone before us. It was President Ronald Reagan who reminded us freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And for all who visit this museum now and in the years and years to come, this wall will be a clear and constant reminder of the ultimate sacrifice made by the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen.
Some communities have paid a tremendous price. Some cities have lost way too many of their own, but to each family who loses one of their own, one is too many. This wall in this museum will ensure that people will never be forgotten. Hopefully, everyone who reads these names will leave knowing that these men paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country.
Each soldier's name was read aloud and recognized. These humble soldiers died defending our country, and it's real.
Robinson, William E., Roediger, Calvin C.
When I heard the names being called off, it made me think how many people in St. Charles County has gave all. Here it's all services from World War I, and that really is significant. St. Charles County, as well as the residents of OFallon, should be very proud that this is here. It makes a strong statement.
Each hero's name on the wall is strategically placed under the war in which they perished. Patrons can take a seat and reflect on a bench directly in front of the wall.
What it represents is that these are the guys, these are the true American heroes. These are the guys that put their life on the line and made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Freedom's not free, there is a cost.
My Uncle Harry died 3 months before I was born, so I did not know him. But for people to remember back that far, they have to be reminded and have a visible sign that these people existed and fought in the war and died. So I think it's marvelous. We've visited this museum several times with the intent to make sure that his name was among the people listed, and it is, so I'm happy about that.
The Veterans Museum, along with the Killed in Action Wall, are open on Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. Large groups are welcome, or come by yourself to explore the history of veterans in St. Charles County. And finally, a big thanks to Len Burkle for helping to fund the wall.
From applying for a permit to submitting a complaint, this online resource can do it all. Let's take a look at OFallon's Citizen Serve portal and see how it helps our residents.
When you're renovating your house, you've probably got a million questions. What kind of fence should I get? What size deck should I build? But what shouldn't be a question is what you need from City Hall to make your dream a reality. That's why we offer a convenient, easy-to-use online portal that can answer all of your questions and so much more. The Citizen Serve portal, available on our website's front page, makes it a breeze to handle permits, licensing, and code enforcement requests right from your computer or mobile device. Let's take a quick overview of the Citizen Serve system and see what it can do for our residents. If you're a homeowner in OFallon, odds are you'll eventually find your way to the permitting section of Citizen Serve. Permits are required for projects like new construction, major remodeling, and repair to electrical, mechanical, and plumbing systems. Applying for a permit can seem overwhelming, but Citizen Serve walks you through the process while ensuring your home remains safe and in compliance with federal, state, and city codes. Citizen Serve can also help you if your project requires you to go through our planning and zoning process. You'll learn what documentation you need and view exactly where you are on conditional use reviews, variance requests, and site plan reviews. You can even pay fees online, making Citizen Serve your one-stop shop for all things permitting. OFallon is home to thousands of businesses of all sizes, and they'll make frequent use of Citizen Serve's licensing section. Even our smallest businesses and home-based offices are required to have a valid business license to operate within the city limits. And you can start the application process with only a few clicks. Citizen Serve also makes it easy to renew your existing licenses, view the status of your license application, and pay your license fees online. Running a business poses unique challenges. Getting help from City Hall shouldn't be one of them. Have you seen tall grass or weeds, derelict vehicles, or trash piling up somewhere in OFallon? These are code enforcement violations, and they're something we take seriously. Public nuisances, rundown structures, and similar issues can affect the health and safety of our community. And the Citizen Serve portal has a dedicated section for reporting these problems. Citizen Serve is a great way to submit a complaint, as it automatically routes the issue to the appropriate department for investigation. We all want OFallon to be a beautiful place to live, and Citizen Serve helps direct our attention to problem areas in our community. Still need help? Citizen Serve also has a handy contact page full of contact information for departments that are here to help our residents. In many cases, they can help you resolve your issue or point you in the right direction to get the assistance you need. The next time you need help with a permit, license request, or complaint, head to www.ofallon.mo.us and click on Citizen Serve to get started.
This community event brings neighbors together in a stance against crime. Joe Meyer has more on this successful civic gathering.
Back in 1984, National Night Out was introduced to law enforcement agencies, neighborhood watch groups, and volunteers across the nation. Today, millions of neighbors take part in National Night Out across thousands of communities from all 50 states, U.S. territories, and military bases worldwide on the first Tuesday in August. This annual community building campaign promotes police-community partnerships and neighborhood camaraderie to make neighborhoods safer and better places to live.
So National Night Out is an event that the police department likes to back. It's a good opportunity for the residents in town, in specific subdivisions, to kind of get together. They plan their own event, but we come out and support it. We kind of are that motivation, that push to get it done, because ultimately them getting to know each other and talking to one another as neighbors helps us in the long run to deter crime and get cooperation when we do have crimes in the subdivisions.
I think it's good that they see their public servants. The police are here, the fire department's here. Kids are able to see and meet the police officers, get to know a little more about what their jobs are and how they work with the community and with each other, so everybody's accustomed and familiar with each other. If they have a need or an issue, they feel comfortable reaching out. They get to see the firemen's equipment, and all the kids seem to like to play on it.
It's community kind of coming together and just having a good time and not worrying about anything else for a night. My kids really love coming and high-fiving and taking selfies with the fire department and the police officers, so.
Over at Twin Chimneys, families had a blast. There was face painting, a bounce house, delicious food, and a DJ. Plus, OFallon officers from the St. Charles County SWAT team conducted tours of SWAT vehicles and answered questions from residents. Events like National Night Out are part of OPD's neighborhood policing goals. Our officers love the community they serve, and it shows.
You know, we don't always get the opportunity to interact with all of our residents, and it's something that we really enjoy doing. So when we have the chance to get out here and hang out with our residents in kind of a positive setting and, you know, eat snow cones together and get these awesome pictures from our fan club, it's just a really cool opportunity for us to get out here and get to know people in sort of a casual atmosphere.
It's more important than ever to interact with the neighbors we live with, because neighbors and law enforcement supporting each other make for a strong community. This is what National Night Out is all about. Communities coming together in a stance against crime.
There's a new type of scam going around, but OFallon Police Department is here with some tips on how you can protect yourself against Rouge burglaries.
Unfortunately, criminals never seem to take a break, and they're always thinking up new ways to separate you from your belongings. The newest wave of crime spreading across the United States is called Rouge Burglary, and like the name implies, the offenders use a ruse to distract their victims in order to rob them in plain sight. Here's one example of how it works. In a Rouge burglary, criminals will pretend to be legitimate workers who need access to your house for some made-up reason. In this example, they're pretending to be from the water department, and due to a water main break conveniently out of sight, they need to come in to check out the homeowner's water. They're counting on people's natural instinct to be helpful. After all, you don't want a disruption in your water service, do you? One criminal will then take you to a secluded spot and distract you with whatever noise they can make. In this case, a running faucet and a barrage of questions. They'll invent a reason to split up, perhaps to check out the water in your bathroom or another location. Suddenly, the second criminal has full run of your house. Because of the commotion near you, you'll never hear or notice what's going on elsewhere in your home. Criminals are looking for anything accessible to steal. Items like phones, tablets, cash, and jewelry are easy targets. If it catches their eye, odds are they'll grab it. They want to get in and out quick before you start to get suspicious. They can still hit a surprisingly large number of rooms while you're distracted. Because they look official, people tend not to ask many questions, which gives them all the time they need to help themselves to whatever they want. After a few minutes, it's time to split, and it might still be hours before you realize what happened. One of the tricks of Rouge burglars is that because they seem official, you probably won't take careful note of what they look like or what car they were driving, which can make it pretty hard to catch them later. Another variant involves asking homeowners to look at something outside the home, like a supposedly malfunctioning water meter or neighbor complaint. It probably wouldn't occur to you to lock your door after stepping outside for just a minute, but that's what the criminals are counting on. Just like before, you're distracted while they get busy hunting for your valuables. So what can you do to stay safe? Here's OFallon's police department on how to prevent Rouge burglaries.
So Rouge burglars are not something we see a lot of here in the city of O'Fallon. However, they are growing nationwide. And the O'Fallon Police Department is here to give you a few tips on how to keep yourself and your family safe. So first off, if you have a utility worker come to your house and try to get into your home to do work, check their credentials. Look for a badge, an ID, or a business card. And if you feel like you need to, contact that company. So let's say the water department comes to your door to do work. Contact the water department. Make sure that it is a water department employee and they are actually there to do work. Secondly, if a solicitor comes to your home, do not ever let them in the home. If you need to go outside with a solicitor or a utility worker, make sure you lock the door behind you when you go outside with them. And lastly, if you feel unsafe, definitely call 911 or call us here at a non-emergency number at 636-240-3200. Contact the police, we will come out and check it out. That is what we are here for, is to keep the city of O'Fallon residents safe as they can be. So remember, if you see something, say something.
Following these tips can help keep you safe from this growing type of crime. No matter what their story is or what they might be selling, remember to ask questions and confirm identities before ever considering letting strangers inside. Remember to trust your instincts, and if things seem fishy, lock the door and call 911 right away.
Thanks for joining us today. If you have a good story idea, let us know. You can email us at OFallonTV@OFallon.mo.us. And please remember to give back to your community, because O'Fallon matters to all of us.